What's up guys, Dakota here and welcome back to the Driven Mad channel. So in today's video, we're going to be working on the 392 and installing the headliner kit that I bought for it. It's the HotHead headliners kit with the full sound assassin strips and the side window pieces. Also, we got my man Austin's GR86 over here. We just finished installing some of the side marker lights as well as some LEDs in the back. So the next we're going to be working on the 392. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. Alright, so basically once we get the box cut open, you're then going to look at all the different panels that come in there. They're very self-explanatory, and if you can't tell, just start piecing them together and it's very simple. Then I like to start with the freedom panels first, just because they're the smallest, they're the easiest, and basically what you're going to want to do is get some acetone and some cotton swabs and then just wipe down these divots in the top, these little ridges. And you're going to wipe those down just to make sure that they're clean. And this is to install these sound assassin strips. Now if you don't order that, then you don't have to do this, but I always get these sound assassin strips just to help out. Alright, then once you do that, you're going to grab one of these sound assassin strips and you're just going to kind of test fit it at first to see if you need to cut any pieces off. So you're just going to set it down, kind of form it a little bit, then you will be able to cut off what you need. And then if you want to be a little bit more OCD with it, you can cut off other pieces and then you'll start to lay it down, peeling that brown paper back and then just pushing it down and peeling it as you go. Then you're going to take this applied roller and you're going to just make sure that you press it in there nice and good. Make sure that it is stuck to the freedom panel. And then you're basically going to repeat those steps for each little crevice on the top. And then you're going to do these same steps on the second freedom panel. Okay, and once you're done, your top should basically look like this, and then we can move on to adding the rest of the headliner. Alright, so then once you grab the headliner piece, you're going to just take off the covering for the 3M tape, and then you're just going to set it down in its position. There's only one way to fit it, and just use the supplied cardboard to just kind of press into the top to make sure that the adhesive sticks. Now you'll also need to use the sandpaper that was provided to give a good 5 to 6 scrubs on those spots where the tape connects, but my camera didn't record that part, but I'll be able to show you guys that in the later steps. So I like to set the top down facing up, that way as I'm working on the other piece it will have time to set even longer and have gravity help it a little bit. Alright, so next is going to be the midsection of the roof. In this part they recommend that you leave it on, and now I'm just going to wipe down those crevices to add these sound assassin strips, just to make sure that they're nice and clean for it to stick to. And just like before on the freedom panels, you're just going to line it up, do a test fit, see if you need to cut anything. Now on the passenger side, there is one spot where you will actually need to cut, but we'll get to that in a second. But mainly you're just going to peel the tape right off, slap it on there, and use the roller, and repeat that a few times on the driver's side and passenger side. So like I mentioned earlier, on the passenger side, when you're doing the middle section, you will need to cut that strip, this third strip here, closest to you guys, a little short, just to ensure that it doesn't block the Sirius XM antenna. They just recommend that you do that just in case, because it could potentially block it. So I just cut it a few inches shy of where the other ones were, and you should be good. I haven't had any issues with it on my two-door. And then for the last bit of the sound assassin strips, you're going to do it in the rear. Now just remember, you're still going to use the acetone just to wipe down those grooves, just to make sure that they do in fact stick. And just remember, it's the deeper grooves, so don't put them on top, put them in the ones where they're basically the same width as the sound assassin strips. And then after we do that, it will be time to move on to actually installing the rest of the headliner, which is actually pretty straightforward. Alright, so here you can see me using the sandpaper, and like I said, you usually just give it a couple of swipes. I'd say, they say 3 to 4, I usually do 5 to 6 on those bigger pieces. in between the Sound Assassin strips just to smooth out the surface that you're about to apply the headliner to. That way the 3M tape sticks nice and good. Now on this, I did actually close the Jeep up and turn it on and heat it up because it was a little cold outside, so just to make sure that adhesive would stick, I made sure to have it heated up. I also used a towel just to wipe off any excess dust to ensure that the headliner would stick to it. Alright, then you'll grab that mid panel there and slide it into place, and once you kind of get it wedged in there, and you'll kind of feel when it's actually in place, then you just press up and push into where the 3M tape is, and just make sure that it's nice and squished up against it. You don't want to just lightly press it. You want to give it a nice firm press, and I gave it lots of presses in a bunch of different spots just to make sure that it would stay on there, because again, it was a little cold out, so I just wanted to double check and make sure. And you're going to do the same thing on both sides. Alright, so for these sections, you're basically just going to use the sandpaper, give it a few swipes, and then fit the pieces in there. The good news is these are actually the easiest pieces because there's only one way they will fit, and you just pop them in, push them up, and then you're done. And I'm sure, as you guys can tell, you guys are probably seeing that I started doing this a little later in the day, so it got kind of dark on us. But the next step is doing these rear panels, which tell you, there's a little sticker on there that shows you which one goes where, and you're going to do the same steps. You're going to reach up, kind of use the sandpaper to kind of just swipe a few times, then peel off the 3M tape, and then go ahead and push them up there and give them a nice firm press and hold just to ensure that they do stick to the top. And then it's probably good to keep a shop vac handy or something just to kind of clean up the dust and everything that comes from swiping them down. And just remember, it's going to be the same steps on both sides. Now, normally at this point you would be done, but I opted for the little side panel for the rear windows. And so if you do opt for that, it's basically the same process as everything else. You're going to peel off the tape, then you're going to kind of rub down with the sandpaper the spots where it's going to stick, slide it in, push and hold against it, and then basically you're done. Alright guys, so that's basically the install. Unfortunately, I did it when it was getting kind of dark out, so I kind of ran out of time. But you guys get the gist of it, and if you need more information, I also did the same install on my two-door. There's just some slight differences, but overall it's fairly simple. Now recording it makes it a little bit more challenging, but if you're just going to install it by yourself, then you're probably talking about maybe an hour tops. Now I did, because it was cold outside, heat up the Jeep. I just kind of closed everything and let it heat up so that the adhesive would stick a little bit better. So if it's cold outside when you're installing it, make sure to do that. But other than that, guys, that's basically it. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave a comment down below, and I will see you guys in the next one. Take care.